Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for what you would call success of critical next time you play? Maybe. Today we're building Coriander, the space princess, not the cooking spice. You probably know her better as Starfire, which also means that we finally completed the Teen Titans. New year, new me. 2021, we're not leaving anything left undone. Let's see how many teams we have left to complete. Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need to put the star in Starfire, with the light of the stars in our fists. Next, we have to take to the stars, flying around at the speed of light. Starlight. Not really, but we'll be fast. Finally, we need to be able to lift. Corey is the muscle of the group, her and Cyborg, and I guess Garfield if he decides to go gorilla. For stats, we'll be using the standard point buy from the player's handbook. We need some things and we don't need other things. I know I said Goku was going to be the most power-built Z-Fighter, but that's not really accurate since I had to cram a monk level in there to keep myself from being attacked by a mob. This is the true power-built, laser-flying, big-lifting character. Set your strength to 15 so you can yeet cars like superstars. Charisma and Constitution at 14 because you like big blasts and because you like not dying. Put your Wisdom and Dexterity at 10 because you don't need to be all that nimble or medicinal, and we'll dump Intelligence. You're pretty smart, but all your historical knowledge is from your home planet. You wouldn't do so well on, how do you say, test of standardizations? You're from space, you fly around, you shoot lasers, so it's Protector Asimar time. It's really weird how many characters have that origin. +2 Charisma, +1 Wisdom, 60 feet of Dark Vision, the light cantrip so your boyfriend can see in the dark, and also I'll be referring to him as Robin, Nightwing, or the boyfriend, because the video I made for him got flagged for foul language and was demonetized because his first name is also a swear word. That's not even a joke, I just think it's funny and I like to bring it up whenever I can. Celestial Resistance lets you resist radiant and necrotic damage, which should help you fight your sister, though it would also help her fight you, so it's kind of a wash. Healing Hands lets you heal someone an amount equal to your total level as an action. Just think of it as a little encouragement. It's never going to be all that much anyway. For your background, we'll tweak the noble background for perception and persuasion instead of history because you do have super senses. Tamarin must be really close to Krypton. You have wildly similar abilities to the Big Blue Boy Scout. We'll kick things off as a fighter. First, to get the training from the Warlords of Okraland, and also because the hit die is better. What we're multi-classing with later doesn't really incentivize starting there. You get 2 skills from the fighter list like acrobatics and athletics. You get a fighting style like unarmed fighting. That'll make your unarmed attacks deal 1d6 plus your strength modifier, 1d8 with your strength when you have 2 free hands, and you can deal 1d4 to a creature you have grappled once per round. It actually makes grappling kind of worth it, which is neat. You also get second wind to recover 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per short rest, converting that sunlight into some energy. Hang on, are we sure she's just not a Kryptonian? We'll become more similar to Superman by hopping over to Holy Soli, a divine soul sorcerer making you favored by the gods among us, letting you add 2d4 to a failed saving throw or attack roll once per long rest to just do a little bit better and impress the new Titan recruits like Baby Green Lantern, Child Green Arrow, or Mini Martian Manhunter. The big benefit of Holy Soli is using cleric spells to get some radiant damage. Sacred Flame lets you force a dexterity saving throw of 8 plus your proficiency bonus and charisma modifier on a creature, and you get to ignore cover for some at-will laser blasts. Word of Radiance forces a constitution saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing 1d6 radiant damage to those that fail if you just want to push people away from you. Guidance and Resistance give a creature a d4 for an ability check or saving throw. Starfire does take on a bigger leadership role after a while, and you don't want to be the one to explain to Wonder Woman that Wonder Girl got killed by Deathstroke. For your first level spells, Guiding Bolt is so dang good. It fires a ranged spell attack that deals 4d6 radiant damage and gives the next person attacking the creature advantage, so Richard Grayson can get his sneak attack on. Absorb Elements lets you give yourself resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage when you take damage from one of those types. That's the main benefit of the spell, but you can also add a d6 of that damage type to a melee attack next round. People say this is bad because if something deals fire damage, it probably resist it, but cutting a dragon's breath damage in half? That's not a bad use of a first level spell slot. The extra damage is just frosting. Second level sorcerers get a Font of Magic with sorcery points to recover spell slots and blast more beams. Grab Mage Armor for your spell at this level for AC equal to 13 plus your dexterity modifier when you're not wearing armor. You've got the strength score and proficiency with plate armor, so I'd recommend just doing that, but I don't think they make plate armor with a bare midriff. At least they shouldn't. Doesn't really make sense. As a Protector Asimar, you get Radiant Soul, letting you add your total level and radiant damage to one attack per round and give yourself a 30-foot flying speed for a minute per long rest if you want to unleash the full power of your Tamaranian physiology. The damage boost works on any kind of attack, so that that means radiant punches or guided bolts, but not saving throws like Sacred Flame. 3rd level sorcerers get meta magic, letting you augment your spells by spending sorcery points. Careful Spell lets you choose an amount of allies equal to your charisma modifier to automatically succeed on saving throws against the spells you cast. Teamwork works better when you don't kill Raven with a spirit bomb. Empowered Spell lets you reroll damage die with the spells you cast equal to your charisma modifier to make sure that your blasts are dealing the most damage they can. For this level spell, Enhance Ability lets you give a creature advantage on skill checks of a certain type. Choose Strength, they also double their carrying capacity. Choose Dexterity, they don't take falling damage from heights of 20 feet or less. And if you choose Constitution, they also get 2d6 temporary HP. Whatever you choose, it lasts for an hour depending on your concentration. I think Wisdom would help you get some super sight, or Strength would let you throw cards like a baseball. Up to you, that could be fun. 4th level sorcerers get an ability score improvement. We'll kick things off with Charisma because you're mostly going to be Laser Girl for the first little bit here. We'll go back to punching eventually, but for now it's pretty nice to fight like a sentient supernova. For this level spell, Shield adds 5 to your AC as a reaction if you want to absorb something that's more of an attack roll. Maybe your sister is shooting your favorite 1st level spell at you. She is always copying you. Sisters. 5th level sorcerers can learn 3rd level spells. Tongues lets you speak and understand all languages for an hour. Just know, Tongues is the name of the spell. It does not need to be the casting method. Nightwing is hot though, so no judgment. 6th level Holy Soulies get empowered healing, but they can also learn haste, and that's my favorite spell, so I'm going to talk about that instead. That adds 2 to a creature's AC, gives them advantage on dexterity saving throws, doubles their movement speed, and gives them an extra action to dash, disengage, dodge, use an object, or make one weapon attack. Get this going with Protector Aasimar thing, and you've got a 60-foot flying speed and 2 attacks per round like a fighter. Ain't that neat? 7th level sorcerers get 4th level spells, like Stone Skin, to give yourself resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for an hour, depending on your concentration, so Slade can't stab you. Well, he won't be able to stab you as well. He's probably still gonna hit you. 8th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement, so you can cap off your charisma modifier and be really hard to avoid when you're raining down sun, which is sort of like anti-rain, actually. For this level spell, Protection from Energy lets you give a creature resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage for an hour depending on your concentration. Keep in mind this won't stack with Absorb Elements, but it lasts for a really long time if you've got to fight Mr. Freeze or Captain Cold. Could be better than blowing a 1st level slot every round. 9th level sorcerers can learn 5th level spells. Flame Strike creates a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of light that deals 4d6 fire and 4d6 radiant damage to creatures inside that fail a dexterity saving throw, half as much to those that succeed. Sometimes you're gonna have to take on a whole hive of baddies. An AoE can be nice for that. 10th level sorcerers get another meta magic ability. Quickened Spell lets you cast a spell that normally takes an action as a bonus action. So with haste up, you can punch twice and drop a Death Star laser in the same round. If you need to be particularly strong on any given day, take the Skill Empowerment spell, letting you give a creature expertise with a skill they're proficient with for an hour, doubling the proficiency bonus they add to it, helping you get more super powered levels of lifting. 11th level sorcerers can learn 6th level spells. Sunbeam lets you fire a laser that deals 6d8 radiant damage in a 60-foot line to creatures that fail a Constitution saving throw, and even blinds creatures for a round as well. Half damage and no blinding if they succeed because they stayed in the shade. That's the name of a villain who uses shade. That's the joke. Sometimes I make jokes that are references to things, and people will be like, did you know there's a real villain called Shade? Yeah, that's why I made the reference. Anyway, fire a laser every round for a minute depending on your concentration, so you can't do this with haste up at the same time, but it's fine, pick and choose. 12th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement or feat. The skill Expert feat gives you +1 to a score like Strength to round it up, expertise in one skill like Athletics, and a new skill like Intimidation, because sometimes the Royal Space Princess with nukes in her fists is a little scary. 13th level sorcerers can learn 7th level spells, and it's not like I don't know what the 7th level spells are, I just don't always like them. So we'll grab Daylight to create a 60-foot radius sphere of bright light, going 60 feet further with Dim Light that dispels darkness from spells of 3rd level or lower. Raven helps you deal with your sister, so you'll probably have to help her deal with her dad eventually. This might help with that. 14th level Holy Soulies get Angelic Form, giving you a permanent flying speed of 30 feet, and you're also supposed to get some wings, but that's just flavor. Just ignore it and fly around whenever you want. No spells required. 15th level sorcerers can learn 8th level spells, and Sunburst is the ultimate way to fire a star, creating a 60-foot radius sphere of light that forces a Constitution saving throw on creatures inside. Failing that, they take 12d6 radiant damage and are blinded for a minute, half damage and no blinding if they succeed. There are no rules that say that the light isn't green. Wait, maybe you're not Superman 2.0, maybe you're just a really raw Green Lantern. And now that we have a full-on nuke, let's jump back over to fighter. Second level fighters get action surge, letting you make 2 actions in the same turn, once per short rest, mixing more punches and lasers together for a titanic level of damage. Third level fighters get to choose a martial archetype. Champions are simple, but punching isn't complicated, is it? You get improved critical, letting you critically hit on a 19 or a 20 with weapon attacks, which unarmed attacks are, even though they don't use weapons. Though Starfire with a battle axe seems pretty cool. Fourth level fighters get our last ability score improvement. Get your strength up here. I wish we could cap it off, and you actually could if we went back to sorcerer, but then you wouldn't be able to get extra attack from the 5th level of fighter. Oh, our capstone is the 5th level of fighter for extra attack, to attack twice with your action instead of once, 4 times with an action surge, or 5 times with an action surge and a haste, all with doubled crit chance, which actually is not all that great because the spell casting you took doesn't really make you a very good Gish. But first, let's talk about why we didn't go Sun Soul, because every Z fighter needs to be a Sun Soul apparently, even though they don't. At level 20 of Sun Soul, the most damage we could deal with Radiant Sunbolts in one turn is 4d10 plus 20, and that spends key points every time, or 2d10 plus 10 without key points. The spell Sunburst is also much better than Searing Sunburst. It's much larger. It deals 4d6 more damage than Searing Sunburst possibly could. Starfire's punches also deal damage because of her strength, not because of her speed. Does that wrap it all up? I guess, should I also talk about Zealot Barbarian? Zealot Barbarians don't have any ranged radiant damage unless they multi-class into Sun Soul, but hey, I already talked about how that's not good, so I think we're done. Alright, now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, permanent flying speed, always good, and it's even better when you can double your movement speed. You're also loaded with radiant damage, which can really cook up pretty much everything but celestials. Finally, you're great at reducing incoming damage with 2 resistances cooked in, and the ability to give yourself more resistances with your spells. For weaknesses, the Z-Fighter thing, honestly, it's just not great in D&D. If the spells you invest in are damage focused and not focused on buffing your fighting ability, then it's probably best to just not invest in your fighting abilities. As a mad woman, you're also leaving your strength score uncapped, so your fighting abilities aren't all that great. You also end up lacking the health that a frontline fighter would generally want. So it's a good thing that you can hurl lasers from a distance and fly out of range of melee combatants. Absorb the power of the stars, rain down the fire like some sort of star blaster. Just watch out for someone with more weapon focus than you, or you could end up being slayed. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.